The first time they noticed her, it wasn't because of her smile or the way she moved through the ward with quiet focus. It was because of the limp. Every step the nurse took down the hospital corridor carried a slight drag, a visible reminder of something broken long before she arrived at this place. Shoes whispered against polished floors, carts rolled past, monitors beeped steadily, and in the middle of it all she moved slower than the rest, head slightly lowered, hands always busy. Whispers followed her like shadows. Smirks lingered. They mocked the limping nurse without knowing that one day, in this very hospital, a Navy SEAL captain would stand tall and salute her in front of everyone. If you believe in kindness and second chances, take a moment right now to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to Bright Hearts, because stories like this remind us why empathy still matters. Her name badge read Elena Morales, but most people never bothered to read it. To them, she was just the new nurse with the bad leg, the one who slowed shifts down, the one assigned the less desirable corners of the floor. She had arrived at the city hospital on a rainy Monday morning, uniform crisp, posture straight despite the pain she hid behind clenched teeth. The limp came from an old injury, the kind that doesn't fully heal, the kind that settles into your bones and reminds you of itself with every step. No one asked how it happened. They didn't need to. In their minds, weakness was explanation enough. The emergency department was a place of constant pressure, where seconds mattered and exhaustion lived in everyone's eyes. Elena worked harder than anyone to prove she belonged there. She memorized charts, anticipated needs before they were spoken, and stayed long after her shifts officially ended. Still, the glances came. Some nurses sighed when they were paired with her. A few laughed quietly when they thought she couldn't hear. At night, when the ward lights dimmed and the noise softened, Elena would pause by the supply closet and breathe through the ache that radiated from her hip down to her ankle. It was during those moments that memories surfaced uninvited. Sand. Heat. The sharp smell of metal and smoke. A different uniform, a different life. She never spoke about that part of her past. The hospital knew her only as a nurse, not as the woman who had once served in places most people only saw on the news, not as the medic who had dragged wounded soldiers to safety under fire, not as the reason her leg would never be the same again. The mockery grew subtler but no less cruel. Jokes about how she should transfer to a desk job. Comments about how dangerous it was to have someone slow in trauma situations. Elena responded the only way she knew how, by being excellent. When patients came in scared and bleeding, she was steady. When families broke down in waiting rooms, she knelt beside them despite the pain and held their hands. Her compassion was quiet but unwavering, like a current running beneath the surface. Everything began to shift on an ordinary afternoon that didn't feel ordinary at all. A medical emergency was rushed in, the kind that pulls every available staff member into motion. The corridors filled with urgency, alarms echoing, stretchers flying past. Elena moved with practiced efficiency, her limp barely noticeable as adrenaline took over. She caught details others missed, adjusted equipment without being asked, and stayed focused while tension thickened the air. For a brief moment, the whispers stopped. Skill has a way of demanding respect, even from those unwilling to give it freely. Later that day, word spread that a high-ranking military officer had been admitted for evaluation. No one seemed particularly impressed at first, the hospital saw its share of important people. But there was something different in the way security tightened and administrators straightened their